Hello, this is Michael Landis with Forsyth Technical Community College in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This morning I'm going to show you how to test a battery. I noticed yesterday one of my vans seemed like it was cranking over a little bit slow. So I think I may have a battery that is weak. So we're going to test the battery. Here's our battery, and a couple things that I noticed right off of the bat is there is some corrosion on the positive terminal, and the negative terminal looks fairly clean. The date code on the battery is 417. So this battery is about 3 years old, which means right off of the bat I would think it would be suspect to be getting weak, because it does have some age on it. So first thing we need to do is make sure that we have voltage here. I've got my trusty Fluke 111. This is one of my go-to meters that I grabbed right out of my box. I'm going to turn it on to DC volts. I'm going to take the red lead and hook it up to the positive terminal, and I'm hooking up to the battery cable, not to the battery. Hook the negative lead up to the negative terminal cable, and lo and behold, I got 11.65 volts. So right off of the bat, I know this battery is weak. Nothing's been on the car. This is first thing in the morning. It hasn't been started, and so we're gonna do a couple little quick checks here. One thing I could do is, remember, I thought that terminal right there might be a little bit dirty, so I'm gonna move the lead to the battery cable itself, or to the battery terminal, and I still have 11.65 volts DC. So that's not causing my low voltage reading. So I'll hook it back up, and I can do the same thing on the negative terminal and hook it to the center, and I got 1164. Now the vehicle will start, and so if this corrosion is in between the terminals, it could be causing a voltage drop problem even while the vehicle is charging. So just to check that, I'm going to take my positive cable off, my positive lead from my meter off of the cable. I'm not going to take the terminal loose and clean it, because I want to know if it's going to be a problem or not. So I'm going to hook my negative up to the positive battery cable. That means this is the most negative on the vehicle right now for the way I'm going to hook my meter up. What we're going to test is a voltage drop across the terminal. Now I'm doing this all by myself, so I got to use a little bit of help, and I'm going to get some help from the windshield wiper. I'm going to stretch my cable up underneath of the windshield wiper just to kind of give it a little bit of added support so it doesn't run off on me. And doing this kind of one-handed. I'm going to put this on the center of the terminal, and this lead that I have is fairly sharp, so what I'm doing is I'm pushing it down into the terminal. You can do that without doing damage to the battery terminal, and right now it's showing 1 millivolt drop, but we're not cranking the vehicle. So by the time I go inside and crank the car, I'm not going to be able to see my meter. So I have a function here that says minimum maximum. So I'm going to push that button, and right now it says that it's reading in minimum, maximum, and so I want to push the button till it just says minimum max. Now, right now we're reading 1 millivolt drop across that terminal. So I'm going to crank the vehicle, and you can hear it did not want to crank over. Voltage is low. But now I'm going to come out here and look at my meter, and I'm going to hit the maximum button, and maximum voltage drop across that terminal was 0.015 DC volts. Minimum was 0, and it will give you an average, and so that's the whole time that it's recording. So maximum was basically 15 millivolts DC, and that's not enough to cause my problem, either charging or discharging. So I'm going to move my leads over to the positive, and my meter is just beeping because it knows it no longer has a connection. So I'm going to move this over to the positive, and I'm going to do the same thing. But this time what I have to do is, because the battery terminal, I wouldn't want to hook it up this way because the battery terminal itself is the most negative, and that would be hooking the positive lead up to it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take my negative lead, I'm going to put my alligator clip back on my lead so it will clamp onto my battery. Give me just a second, it's out of the picture, but I've screwed my clip back onto the battery. I'm going to hook it onto the negative terminal because it would, in this test, that will be the most positive point. And I'm going to take my negative cable and hook up to the center of the battery. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just pushing it down into the battery and allowing it to make connection that way. And so now, to clear the minimum max off of here, the recorded readings, I'm just going to turn it off, turn it back on to push the minimum maximum button, and when you first push it, it's giving you the maximum reading that it's seen. So I want to push it again, change it to the minimum, change it to the average, and change it back to where it says minimum maximum. Now it's recording. Now I'm going to go try cranking the vehicle again. It's getting fairly weak, as you can hear. But when I test this now, when I go back, my maximum voltage drop across the terminal is 6 millivolts, or 600th or 1000th of a volt. So 6 millivolt drop, that's well within range. Generally we say we can have about 1 to 2 tenths of a volt and cause no problems. And if I recheck my voltage on my meter, I'll find I'm down to about 10.3 volts. So in order to test this battery properly, it's going to have to be recharged to see if it is bad. My gut feeling is this battery is bad, but we will put it on a charger and see what happens a little bit later.